So today I'm going to show you how to build a real-time AI voice assistant into an app, even if you don't know how to code, using Elevenlabs and Bolt.new. And if you don't know what Elevenlabs is, it's basically the most realistic AI voice platform, which allows you to convert any text into realistic AI voices that are almost indistinguishable from a human voice. On top of that, they also have an API, and so that's why I'm showing you today how to build an app using Elevenlabs to create a voice assistant that we can actually speak to and get responses back. And by the end of the video, you'll be able to build an app exactly like this for yourself. If you don't know me, my name is Chris, and for the last 15 years, I've been designing apps and advising startups on product and design. And with that said, let's jump straight into Elevenlabs and Bolt.new and start building our app.
Build great products. Build great products.
So let's build our app with Elevenlabs, and I'm going to show you how to replicate an app that has been going viral recently called Calmi, which is basically a very, very simple and straightforward mental health and well-being voice app where you can chat to a witty AI assistant to kind of explore thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. And all the UI is this very kind of clean and simple yellow dot that you kind of talk to, and you can turn on like Gen Z mode and some fun stuff like that. So we're basically going to try and recreate this app using Elevenlabs to transcribe text to voice. So what we're going to do here is basically use Elevenlabs to transcribe voice to text. I'm going to talk into the microphone. That is going to then send that to Elevenlabs. Elevenlabs will transcribe my voice into text, create a response, and then send that audio back, transcribing the text back to voice so we can have a conversation with like a mental well-being, or maybe like a business assistant, or like a life coach, something like that, that's in this sort of style. And instead of this yellow dot, we're maybe going to do like a bright blue dot instead. I think that will be really nice. And we're going to be building this app using Bolt version 2. And in order to get started with Elevenlabs, all you need to do is go over to elevenlabs.io, create an account with Elevenlabs. I'm just going to sign up here into my account. And then once you're in your account in Elevenlabs, so we've got this pop up about Studio 3.0, you just go to this developers section in the bottom left down here, and then you'll need to go to API keys and then create an API key here. So let's create an API key for this. It's called Calmi, so we're going to call it Coachy, which is going to be our personal kind of life coach. So Coachy is going to be our life coach voice AI assistant here. And let's give it access to everything we need here, which is basically text to speech to speech, and speech to text. I think that's going to be everything that we need to give it access to. Maybe we want to give it access to voices. We probably don't need voice generation. We do need voices, and let's create our key there. So let's copy this key, and then we're going to go over to Bolt version 2, and we're going to write our first prompt to build this app. So let's put the first prompt in here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm also going to take a screenshot of Calmi here, and I'm going to put that back into Bolt so that we've got a reference for the layout of the app that we want to build here. And the prompt here, just to break this down quickly, is I want to create an app that lets users talk to a life coach voice assistant using Elevenlabs and have a conversation that would guide them on life decisions. The voice assistant would be witty, friendly, and supportive. First, a user would create an account for the app. Then once in the app, so the first part was the context, which I always add, and the second part here is the user journey. So first, a user would create an account for the app. Then once in the app, would have a collapsible panel on the left with all of their previous voice conversations. In the middle of the screen would be a bright blue dot, which would animate when audio from the voice assistant plays back. The user would tap on a record icon underneath the blue dot to use their microphone, ask a question. The audio would be transcribed to text, then sent to Elevenlabs to generate a response, and then play the response generated in Elevenlabs back to the user in audio alongside the text for the response showing underneath the blue dot. For the design, I want to keep the app clean and simple, using only white for the background with black text in DM Sans from Google Fonts for all of the text, with buttons and the blue dot in the center of the screen using the same bright blue. Follow the layout of the attached image, and we're going to be using Claude Code, which is this Claude agent here in Bolt version 2. Now I think we should probably put this into plan mode first to give us a better plan for this app. So let's send this off to Bolt version 2 and see what plan it comes back with. We're already trying Bolt version 2 here, so we don't need to worry about that pop-up. So Bolt is now using Claude Code to plan this app for us. And I'm also just going to turn off planning mode here so that the next time we speak to Bolt, it's going to actually start building this for us. So I'll analyze your project requirements in the current code base to create a comprehensive plan for building this life coach voice assistant app, which we're going to be calling Coachy. It's starting to list out the files here in the project root, and it's searching some other files and doing a web search to figure out how best to build this app for us. So we've now got our plan here. So it's broken it down into these 12 steps. There's a lot of stuff that it's going to be coding for us here. So authentication and user management, database schema and Bolt database configuration, main application layout, voice interaction interface, audio recording and processing, speech to text integration, Elevenlabs API integration, conversational AI logic, styling and visual design, conversation management features, error handling and loading states, audio playback and animation, and then a summary of what it's going to do. For the AI response generation, would you like to use an LLM service like OpenAI, GPT, Claude, or another provider to generate the life coach responses before converting them to speech with Elevenlabs? So let's use OpenAI for the life coach responses. Should users be able to replay previous messages in a conversation, or is it a one-way playback only for new responses? Let's just keep it as a one-way playback for responses for now. And then for the conversation sidebar, would you like to just show conversation titles or also preview the last message exchange? Let's just show the conversation titles for now in the sidebar. Start building based on this plan. So this is the benefit of having Claude Code in a tool like Bolt here, is that this is really in detail planned out building this complex app for us here using Elevenlabs, and it's also asked us a few questions based on some of the gaps in our initial prompt here as well, and we're just giving it the answers and then getting it to start building the app based on that plan. So let's send that off. And at some point here during building this, it's also going to ask us to put in our Elevenlabs API key, which we're going to do as well. And it's got this huge list of tasks here that it's going to go through. So this is going to take a little bit of time. So let's come back after this is finished building and see what it has built for us. So here's some proof that using new tech does have some teething issues. Bolt v2 is literally just released in the last few days, and Claude Code here has actually told me some incorrect stuff. It's told me that I need to do like run migration files into my Bolt database, and I then asked it to create the database auth and server functions for the project, and it's just given me like a setup checklist here basically. And when you go into the database for this project in the settings, it's actually not there. So what we're going to do is we're going to try a different approach. Now it might be there behind the scenes, it might be there in the code, but this is not the way that Bolt is intending for this to function. So let's try again with this same prompt here. I'm just going to copy this prompt back over, go back to Bolt and then try it again in a new project, and just not turn this plan mode on, and let's drop in the image there as well so that we've got the exact same prompt. So let's send this off this time and see if Bolt can come back with something better here. So whilst Bolt is building our app, let's have a little bit more of a look into Elevenlabs as a platform. So if you don't know what Elevenlabs is, basically Elevenlabs is a text to voice kind of audio and voice generating platform. That might be oversimplifying it basically, but you can translate any text into a very natural and realistic voice output using AI, and then we can use that in our apps basically as well to kind of add functionality that might require like audio or voice interaction. So if you're building AI agents for like voice calls or voice interactions, then this is a really good tool to use. If you want to build an app that has voice interaction in it, then Elevenlabs really is like the go-to option for this, and probably the best one out there in terms of how realistic and accurate that it sounds to like a human voice. If you look on the voices tab here, you've got a bunch of trending voices. It's got realistic customer agent voices here as well, a bunch of different categories of different types of voices. Maya Angelou poetic voices collection. So they're partnering with people as well to like create specific voices that are in a certain like tone or style. We can also like do voice changing, and we can also generate a voice as well. So if you go over to my voices, you can see there's one here I created called Old Wizard for like a voiceover for like a D&D thing that I was doing that was pretty fun. And if you want to clone your own voice, you can subscribe to a plan here, but you can just design a voice to start off with without needing to pay for an account on Elevenlabs. So let's create a voice here. So let's say a soft and calming female voice, Let's have a look at the best practices actually. Okay, so let's do a soft and calming female voice of a woman in her mid-30s with a subtle English accent that is supportive and relaxing to listen to. Let's try that. Let's generate a voice here. And if this is a good voice, we can use this voice in our app. You can also use any of the kind of stock voices that they've got in here as well. So let's have a listen to the voices that Elevenlabs has generated us from this description. We've got this first one. We've basically got 3 options here. So when you generate a voice like this, you're going to get a few different options and you can choose the best one or like redo the prompt and get it to create the voice again. Quick break in the episode to talk about my community for people who are building apps with AI and want to actually launch their app and get real customers. It's called the AI App Builders Academy. So if you're building an AI app with Bolt or Lovable or Cursor or any of these AI tools and you actually want to make a profit and launch your app, then this is the community for you. Inside you'll get access to a community of other builders as well as my 30-day app course helping you go from idea to app to a profitable launch in just 30 days. You'll also get access to weekly calls with live workshops and training as well as all of my startup frameworks and resources and 24/7 support from the community to help you answer any questions or problems you're having with building and launching your AI app. So if you're building an app with AI and you actually want to make a profit and launch your app, then head over to school.com/AI apps to find out more. I'll see you there. This is the first voice.
You're having a wonderfully peaceful time. Hello there. It's lovely to connect with you today. I hope you're having a wonderfully peaceful time wherever you are.
Hello there. It's lovely to connect with you today.
Okay, that's a little bit too much. The first one was a little bit better. That second one is too much for me. I can't use that one.
Hello there. It's lovely to connect with you today.
No, we can't use those. Those are going too far in the wrong direction. I don't want to use those voices.
Hello there.
Let's use this first voice.
It's lovely to connect with you today. I hope you're having a wonderfully
So let's use that first voice. So select that voice. Let's name it and let's call it Coachy. And the value is going to be English. And let's save that voice. And this is going to be the voice that we're going to use in our app. If we can figure out how to decide on what voice we want to use when we're building our app, we'll be able to basically set that up somehow that it can use this specific voice for our life coach assistant. And now let's get back to Bolt and see what it has built for us. So after trying a couple of times with that prompt, I've actually got Bolt to work here and build the app finally for us. And what we're going to have to add in now is our Elevenlabs API key. So if you go into Open Secret Settings down here in Bolt, if you are using an API like this, it's going to prompt you to add your API key. We're going to paste our API key in here and then click Create Secret. This has actually created our database, authentication and server functions here as well. Now the AI here, Claude code says the application is fully built, type checked and ready to run. Users can start having conversations with their AI life coach right away. Take this with a pinch of salt. AI loves to tell you that it's completed something and it's done something because it knows that that's what you want to hear, but it might not work here. And this is part of the reason why people get frustrated with these tools, because they always like to just say, yeah, I've done it, but it might not have actually done it, or it might not be 100% working. But let's check, because maybe it has. We never know. So I'm going to click sign up. Let's sign up with my email address and a password here. Sign up. Okay, so it looks pretty promising. We've got this conversations on the left here, and we've got this blue dot in the middle. So it says tap to speak, and we can also collapse this down to the left. So this is already looking pretty good compared to Calmi. Let's go back to Bolt and let's do tap to speak. Okay, so now we've got the prompt in Chrome here to use microphone. So I'm going to select the right microphone here and allow while visiting the site. I'd like help in growing my business and managing work-life balance, which is something that I've been struggling with a little bit recently. So let's see if it actually got that and it's working. Processing. We've got new conversation on the left, new conversation there as well. So it looks like the microphone functionality is working, but what's not happening is we're not getting audio playing back. So let's just prompt this. So we're going to try and fix this feature. So let's say it looks like audio recording using the microphone is working, but no audio is being played back to me. One thing to do here as well, if you're trying to figure out like why bugs and stuff are happening, is just to open up developer tools, go into the console on the right here, and you'll be able to see any kind of errors that are happening. Now what I would recommend, because in here we're actually getting like all these errors based on Bolt as well as the app that we've built. So what I would recommend is actually opening the preview and having a look in the console instead of doing this. So I'm going to publish this. I've had a bit of issues recently with Bolt and the staging URLs not working, so this might not work 100%, but if it does, it means we can get the console logs for our app a little bit easier. And in the meantime, let's write a prompt to, okay, so here we go. We've got a link for our application. Whoa, we have a lot of new conversations generated here. I'm not sure what these are or where they've come from. So we've definitely got something that's going weird here. Let's have a look at this URL. So this is what I'm getting at the moment. Basically, this is not loading. The staging URL is not loading. So there's still a bunch of issues that they've got to fix. There's nothing in the console. It's just not loading at all. It can't connect to Bolt here. So there's still some teething issues with this latest version of Bolt. Let's get the prompt in and just test it in this preview to try and get Elevenlabs working here. Okay, so I've put in, it looks like the audio recording functionality is working correctly. However, no audio response is being played or maybe not being generated by Elevenlabs. Can you identify the issue and fix this so that after I finish recording, a response is generated and played back to me in the app? So I like to take this approach when you're trying to get AI to fix stuff of basically give it context of what went wrong and where it happened. Ask it to investigate the issue and then fix this. And then also give it a description of what actually should be happening instead. But before we do that, we've got our coachy voice here. I'm actually going to go over to the developers section in Elevenlabs, go to usage, and then we can actually see if there was a request made. And there was a request made October. Yep, so that was a request that was made. So it was correctly sent to the Elevenlabs API, but maybe nothing was being sent back, or the audio playback functionality is not working here. And then we're going to address this multiple conversation issue here as well. So let's send this off and get this to fix this issue that is happening. Okay, so aside from generating a million new conversations, which also could be part of the issue that we're having here, Claude Code in Bolt has said that it's fixed the issue. So now it says fixed issue, speak recognition, update the voice interface, dual audio support. The system now handles both Elevenlabs API audio and falls back to browser-based text-to-speech using the web speech synthesis API. We didn't need to do that, but it added it for us anyway. Maybe we should have been more specific. We're going to have to remove that fallback. I do think Claude Code sometimes it likes to add in fallbacks. If something's not working, it will often say, you know what, I'm not going to try and make this work. I'm just going to add a fallback that's worse. We're going to remove that later maybe. Robust error handling, better user experience, added proper validation for empty transcripts and improved conversation flow. That is good, and one of the things I do like about Claude Code is it likes to add in error fallbacks, which is if something doesn't work, it will show an error in the front end on our user interface here. So now when we record audio and we finish the recording, if it didn't actually send anything or didn't record anything, hopefully this is going to say to us, error, couldn't send audio to Elevenlabs, or something like that is going to happen. We're going to fix this conversation error that's happening on the left here as well, but let's try the life coach assistant first. I'm going to get rid of that so I don't see a million conversations on the left, and let's try this. I'd like help growing my business and managing work-life balance. So that is now saying processing.
Hello there, I'm so glad you're here. I'm your personal life coach, and I'm here to support you through whatever's on your mind today. What's been going on in your world lately?
Okay, so that is not Elevenlabs, but it is working. So we got the response, it's sending it back, and now it's actually generating it using the fallback, which is the browser-based text-to-speech. It's not Elevenlabs. So let's try and figure out what is going on here. But this is now working. Let's have a look in this left-hand menu. We can also see that is this conversation here. So I don't know what all of these generated here are. Let's actually just try and fix the Elevenlabs response here. So let's go back over to Elevenlabs, the developer section again here. I'm just going to refresh this page to see. It definitely sent that request over to Elevenlabs. So it spent the credits and it's done 2 requests, which is the 2 tests that we've done in our app. This is also something that's interesting to point out if you are building apps like this as well, is that even though API keys might seem a little bit technical to you and a little bit complicated, it's a really good way of seeing is your functionality working, because you can see if the API request was made and how many credits were spent and also how much money you're spending on this as well. So let's go back to Bolt and try and fix this issue. So let's say the browser-based text-to-speech fallback is working perfectly and the response is being generated correctly and showing as text correctly under the blue dot. However, audio is not being sent back from the Elevenlabs API. Can you check why this is happening and fix this issue so that Elevenlabs can generate audio from the text response and then send back the audio to our app instead of the browser text to speech? So let's get it to fix this issue. And again, I'm just taking the approach here for like fixing bugs of telling Bolt what happened, what went wrong, and asking it to investigate and fix the issue, and then also giving it the context of what I actually want to happen, or what the right thing to happen should be. So this is now trying to like debug the Elevenlabs API integration, fix the Elevenlabs API key configuration, and then test Elevenlabs audio generation and playback. And this is good because like what I like about Claude Code and these coding agents is the good ones will often like break it down into steps where it kind of tests the functionality before actually building it into our app. Now it can be still a little bit hit and miss, and this is using Claude Sonnet 4.5 in Claude Code as far as I know, which is the latest and best coding model in the world. And so let's see if it can actually figure out the issue with Elevenlabs here. And we want to get to a point where if I can have a conversation with my life coach assistant here and get a voice back from Elevenlabs to prove that this is working. Okay, so this is one of the great things of using Claude Code if you haven't used Claude Code before to actually build an app, is that what it really likes to do here, and this is what a developer would probably do, I mean probably, I don't know 100%, but this is something that developers would usually do to help debug issues in your application as well. So it's basically added a bunch of error handling here so that if something goes wrong, it's going to report back to us in the browser console whether it's been able to do something or not, and it's added these specific logs. So if we've got here like Elevenlabs audio generated successfully, or like falling back to client-side TTS, and that's text to speech here. It's going to use abbreviations if you're not sure of those. And so what we want to try and do here is basically, it's said that it's fixed the functionality, but what I'm going to do after I've got rid of all of those horrendous conversations on the left hand side is test the voice interaction here. Let's open up developer tools here as well. As I say, the staging environment doesn't work here for some reason, so we're going to try and catch the event amongst all of these other WebSocket bugs from Bolt. I'm sure they're working on them. Let's close this part of the console down here as well, and let's try and test our app to see if it's working. So can you give me tips on improving at basketball? So we're now processing. So you can see here, look.
Hello there. I'm so glad you're here. I'm your personal life coach, and I'm here to support you through whatever's on your mind today. What's been going on in your world lately?
Okay, what we've seen here is that the message that is sent, so it says sending message, hello, I'd like to talk about something that's been on my mind. We've got Elevenlabs audio generated successfully, so that is the actual Elevenlabs audio, which is perfect. And so Elevenlabs is now working, but it's actually not sending the message that we recorded. So now we've got this new bug that we're aware of. Let's try and fix that. So you can see here like in the console, and if you're not familiar with using this, the console is just basically showing you all the stuff that's kind of happening behind the scenes with your application. And Claude Code is really good at setting it up so that you can debug stuff to fix things. And once you kind of get the hang of this, you're going to be able to fix bugs in your applications better and actually build better software. So we've also got edge function response here. It's the text that is generated as the response. That is then sent to Elevenlabs, and it's then generated the audio for us. Let's fix the fact that the message that we're sending is not working correctly. So let's say, great, Elevenlabs is now working correctly. However, the audio I record is not being transcribed to send to Elevenlabs. A generic message, and let's copy this message that's being sent. A generic message, hello, I'd like to talk about something that's been on my mind, is being sent instead. Can you identify the issue and fix this so that when I record my audio, the audio is transcribed and then sent to get the response? Let's send this off. So again, we're just using that same format for bugs and fixing errors in our app of explain what happened, what went wrong, get it to investigate and identify how it can fix it, and then explain what you want to happen instead. This is generally just a very simple and easy framework to understand to like help you debug in your app better. But I've already mentioned that. Hi, so the error, the agent stopped unexpectedly. Let's retry retry that. So we supposedly have a fix here now for this issue. So issues found: use effect dependency problem. The speech recognition was being recreated every time the transcript changed. Timing issue, error handling. So fixed speech recognition initialization. Remove the problematic transcript dependency. How it works: recording start. Both audio recording and speech recognition start simultaneously. Real-time transcription. You'll see your words appear as you speak. Interesting addition here. We didn't ask for that, but it could be good. A recording stop. When you stop, the system waits for speech recognition to finish processing. Message send. Your actual transcribed words are sent to the life coach, not the generic message. Okay, open your browser's console. Start by recording the message. Speak clearly. Stop recording and watch the console logs, and we should be able to see the text transcribed there. So let's try this again. So I'd like tips for getting better at basketball, and you can see there the message.
Hello there, I'm so glad you're here. I'm your personal life coach, and I'm here to support you through whatever's on your mind today. What's been going on in your world lately?
Okay, so it actually got the transcript and then it sent the message. Hello, I'd like to talk about something that's been on my mind. Okay, so let's go to this. Let's copy this in. So the voice transcription is working. It transcribes my audio correctly, but the message being sent still, hello, I'd like to talk about something that's been on my mind. Make sure to send the transcribed text instead of this, and let's get it to try and fix this issue. So we've proved that the transcription is working, and now we're going to get it to actually send that message instead of the generic message that it's sending here. And part of this process of like back and forth, this is something that is always going to happen in software and app development. And if you're thinking like you can use these tools like Bolt or Replit or Lovable or any of these tools just by putting in a prompt and then it's going to work off the bat, you're always going to get bugs. No matter how good the coding tools are going to get, there is a very high chance that you're always going to get some sort of bug, some sort of error, depending on how you prompt the AI and what the AI decided to write in the code just on that given day, basically. And knowing how to approach fixing these bugs in like a step-by-step fashion like this can really help improve the likelihood that you're going to be actually able to build your application and not get stuck in these kind of endless error loops where you're just prompting fix this again, fix this again. This actually gives us a way of seeing like what parts of this are working by using the console here, identifying the issue. Claude Code is helping us to debug this as well, and then we're providing a much better prompt back to Bolt so that Claude Code can actually go and find the right error, understand why it's happening, and then fix the issue based on what we actually want to happen. Okay. I just seen something that might be funny. So the issue was with the state management in React. The transcript state was being cleared or not properly captured when the set timeout callback executed. So basically I think when we ended the recording, it wasn't updating the transcript to then send to generate the response. So it's using a reference for persistent storage, improved transcript capture, how to test, open browser developer console, start recording and speak clearly, stop recording, and then look for these logs. Okay, so let's give it a go. Let's give it a go again. I'd like tips for getting better at basketball.
Thank you for sharing that with me. I can tell this is important to you. Life has a funny way of presenting us with exactly what we need to grow, even when it doesn't feel like it. What's your heart telling you about this situation?
So you can see here in the logs that look, using transcript for message, I'd like tips for getting better at basketball. Sending message to API, I'd like tips for getting better at basketball. Now the response isn't particularly related to basketball, but it is actually sending the correct message here. So it says, thank you for sharing that with me. I can tell this is important to you, etc. So now we would want to improve, like maybe we want to improve the system prompt for the life coach here so that it's going to give us better advice back. But now I want to just update this as the last thing that we're going to do here. Let's close the console. I'm just going to ask the agent here, give me steps to change the voice in Elevenlabs for this app, and then don't change anything. So you can also prompt these tools to just give you answers to questions and give you a step-by-step guide, give you instructions of how to do something, and that is a really good way to use these tools as well. Even if they don't have a chat mode that you can turn on or off, you can just prompt it to say, don't change anything, just explain to me how to do this thing, and it will be able to do that. So find available voices, click on the voice ID you want to use, copy this voice ID, open the file here, so index.ts, find this line, replace this with the chosen voice ID, and then test the new voice. So we're going to do that. Let's go and do it. So let's go to our voice, the voice that we created. Let's go to My Voices, go to Coachy, and we're going to go copy voice ID just from that menu there. Go back to Bolt. Let's go to the code, to index.ts. Let's find that file. So we're just going to search for it, index.ts. Okay, so it's looking for lines in the code. That's a really annoying way that this works sometimes. So it's under functions life coach / index.ts. So let's go into CC agent project Bolt database. So in functions life coach index.ts. And then we've got Elevenlabs voice ID here. Let's remove that and then go this one. Let's remove this like description here as well, and then we're going to save this file, and that is then, if we go back to the preview and then we reload this just to check that it works. We still haven't fixed that conversation issue. We can do that another time. That's absolutely fine. Let's test if it's in the voice that we generated here, and that is going to wrap up recreating this viral app using Elevenlabs, using Bolt version 2 to build this in just like a few prompts here, which is pretty quick. So let's give it a go. I'd like help figuring out a better work-life balance in my life.
Thank you for sharing that with me. I can tell this is important to you. Life has a funny way of presenting us with exactly what we need to grow, even when it doesn't feel like it. What's your heart telling you about this situation?
So it's the same message as before, even though I gave it a different message. The response being generated here is not. It's just sort of a generic response, but it's using the correct voice. So let me try again and just get it to, my heart is telling me that I need to focus more on my community and my content. What's nice here is that this transcription above the blue dot is actually writing out what I'm speaking whilst I'm speaking it. And I didn't ask for that functionality to be built, but that is actually super nice. Love that. That's a really bad message to send.
Hello there. I'm so glad you're here. I'm your personal life coach, and I'm here to Hello there. I'm so glad you're here. I'm your personal life coach, and I'm here to support you through whatever's on your mind today. What's been going on in your world lately?
Okay, so let's try and fix this issue using OpenAI to generate the responses. The actual transcript, like writing out the text above there, is really, really nice. That's recognizing based on what I'm saying into the microphone and transcribing it in real time, which is amazing. But let's try and fix this error now that we've got our voice in here. So the responses being generated are not based on the message being sent. The responses should be generated based on the message that is being sent. Create a response to this using OpenAI, and then use that response to generate the audio in Elevenlabs. So let's send this off. I didn't actually ask it to investigate and fix this, so I probably should have done that. I was getting impatient with the prompts there. Make sure you're formatting these prompts correctly when you're doing it. So it says the current system is using hard-coded responses instead of generating personalized responses based on your actual message. Let me fix this by integrating OpenAI to generate contextual responses. That's exactly what we want. So now we have complete OpenAI plus Elevenlabs integration. Successfully updated your life coach to generate personalized responses based on your actual messages. How it works: record your message, transcription, convert to text to speech. OpenAI generates a personalized response. As your life coach, Elevenlabs converts the response to high quality audio. Playback, you hear the AI speaking to you. Check your browser console to see OpenAI generated personalized response when AI is working. Elevenlabs audio generated successfully when voice synthesis works. We already know the Elevenlabs part of this works, but it might have changed the code. It might have broken something. We don't know that. These things can happen when you're using AI. What we're going to do is we're just going to reload the app here, and then we're going to try this again so we can see if it's personalized responses. I'd like help improving my basketball skills.
Thank you for sharing. I'd like help improving my basketball skills with me. I can tell this is important to you. Life has a funny way of presenting us with exactly what we need to grow, even when it doesn't feel like it. What's your heart telling you about this situation?
So this is just inserting my message into the hard-coded response. So that is not working correctly. Let's have a look in the console. This is going to be a longer video than I expected. This debugging is taking a little bit of time here. Let's go into the console. Let's see. So we have, I'd like help in improving my basketball skills. Sending message to API. Edge function response. Thank you for sharing. I'd like help improving my basketball skill. Has OpenAI key false? So it says here, OpenAI used false. AI error. So basically it's not used OpenAI. So we need to add our OpenAI API key into our secrets in our project. Probably should have done that. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go to OpenAI and get my API key and then give it to Bolt and ask it to use that so that we can get OpenAI working here. Okay, we basically tested this before it was actually working properly. So it's what it said is like refactoring. It's now refactored like a bunch of code here. I think I was a little bit early in testing that before it actually broke. Let's close the console. We've got this pop-up down in the bottom right, which we should have had all along, which says add your OpenAI API key. I'm going to paste that in there now that we've got it and create that in our project. So we now have our OpenAI API key. Basically, I tested it before the OpenAI functionality part of this was done. So let's try it again, see what response we get and see if this works. I'd like help learning how to play chess better. It's taken a little bit longer. That's promising because
I'm thrilled to hear you're eager to improve your chess game. The key is strategy and practice. Start by learning the value of each piece and the basic moves. Then, immerse yourself in strategies like the Sicilian defense or the French defense. Chess.com and YouTube have excellent tutorials. And remember, each loss is an opportunity to learn. How about setting up a daily game to train your mind? And remember, even grandmasters once were beginners.
Okay, so it's now actually creating the right response there, but it's returned our voice to the original voice, the Adam voice. Let's change that back to our voice that we want to use in the code in index.ts. I don't know why it did that. Sometimes AI makes changes that you don't want it to make. So now we're using the right voice again, and also the text is not displaying on the front end. So let's fix that issue. Let's say this is working great now, but the text of the response is not showing underneath the blue dot when the audio response is playing. Can you identify the issue and fix this? So let's get it to add this text back in here, and then we're going to finish up. We're going to have our working voice agent, hopefully, fingers crossed. Right, so now our app should be showing the text in the response as well. So let's just test it out and see what happens here. I'd like to learn how to speak Mandarin in 6 months.
That's an ambitious goal, my friend, and I admire your spirit. To start, immerse yourself in the language daily. Use language learning apps like Duolingo or Rosetta Stone for structured lessons. Try to listen to Mandarin podcasts, watch Chinese dramas, or listen to Chinese music. Also, try to find a language exchange partner or tutor for practice. Remember, consistent practice is key. It's like watering a plant. A little bit each day helps it grow. Don't forget to enjoy the journey and celebrate small victories along the way. You've got this.
Okay, amazing. So our voice assistant works. It's connected to Elevenlabs. It's using a voice that we generated in Elevenlabs ourselves, and it's showing the message back on the screen here. The chat history isn't quite working correctly, but the rest of this is actually working really well, and we've gotten really close to basically what was like a viral app in Calmi, this mental kind of health well-being assistant, and we've recreated that pretty quickly in under an hour here using the Elevenlabs API. And so now we've finished up building our app. Let's get into my final thoughts. So we had some teething issues there, but hopefully you can see how straightforward it is to build an app almost exactly like Calmi. And Calmi has really been going viral recently and actually attracted the attention of a bunch of investors as well. And whilst it's not like a finished and polished app, you can kind of get a sense of how you might do this yourself, how you can integrate Elevenlabs using their API, and how you can create realistic voice assistants that live directly in the applications that you're building. And as usual, if you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you are building an app or you've got an app idea, then you can go over to my community at school.com/AI apps to get started building your AI app today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Build great product. Build great product.